How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Feel free to position yourself however you like with the seat.
Okay.
Sorry if I face you like this.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. What brings you in today?
Where do I start? I just feel like lately I've been really stressed out. You know, I feel like I'm in graduate school. I'm in my second year and I'm in my practicum year, so I have to devote a lot of my time to my practicum hours, but I'm not getting paid for it. So that could really, it really just stresses me out knowing that I could be making money working, you know, a full-time job, but I have to be stuck doing that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. So it sounds like there's a lot of stress coming, as far as you being in your practicum this year, and it takes up a lot of your time that you feel you could be earning money.
Exactly.
I understand 100%. Now, how does this make you feel knowing that it's going to benefit you in the long run, but at the same time, the money is just not exactly what you were hoping it would be right now
That's
at
what
this point in your life? Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's exactly what's kind of keeps pushing me through because I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But I know next year is going to be really tough. That's my full internship year. So that's Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. And yeah, that's where I'm really nervous because right now I'm still able to fit in some hours at my job, but next year it's going to be nearly impossible.
Right. So it sounds like you're worried that the stress you're feeling now is going to be even more difficult next year because you're going to have less earning potential, but it's going to take up more time. Is that kind of where you're at in your head?
Yeah.
All right, and I'd like you to go a little bit more into the stress that you feel, exactly from where you're at right now. Is it manifesting itself where it's hurting your everyday life, or you're kind of internalizing it?
Some days are easier than the others. Like some days I feel like I could manage it, and then other days I do see it affecting, different aspects of my life because of how stressed I am. Especially, I don't have the best home to live in. I feel like it's just a very chaotic environment. My parents, they're loud, Italian parents, and my sister, she's young. She's gonna be 10 years old now. I'm 23, so it's a very big difference. It's just different types of energies in that household. So sometimes I don't really have the best place to decompress all the stress. So that's where it kind of carries on and into other aspects of my life.
I understand. So it sounds a lot like your home life is not as comforting as you would hope. Who do you turn to for comfort?
Honestly, I would say my boyfriend really does help a lot, and my friends. I have a good group of like 5 friends that are always there for me, so seeing them definitely helps me just feel a lot better. Kind of takes my mind off all the stress in a way.
Definitely. Well, that's great to hear that you have people you can lean on. I know that you're in graduate school. Do you guys do you ever think about moving out? Is that part of your plans? I know that you said you have a boyfriend. That's a great support system. As far as maybe getting yourself to a better environment, is that something you think about a lot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I think about it in a way that it's like maybe I wouldn't be as stressed as I am if I moved out, and I would love to move out, but the money right now is just
Right.
it's just hard to stack it up.
Yeah. So kind of just circling back to everything we've talked about, it sounds a lot like you have a stressor in your life as far as the money goes, and you don't get the relief from your household, yet the same thing stressing you when you go home is the same thing keeping you in your house.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Right. Well, I want you to really think about your support systems again and kind of go a little bit more in depth into how they support you and kind of the ways that they help you that your family doesn't. Like, can you point to anything specific like that?
Okay. For example, so my parents, they tend to be really, I guess, not the most understanding. like when I am stressed out and I tell them like, oh, I had a bad day, they're the ones that pile more on top of me. Where with my friends, if I tell them I have a bad day, they console me, like they comfort
Absolutely.
me. So that's the major difference, I would say. Sometimes you just wanna be comforted, you know?
Yeah.
You don't always have to, I don't know. I just feel like they kind of pile all their stresses onto me sometimes, and they don't even look at it like, oh wow, she's so stressed herself. Does that make
It's
sense?
gotta be really difficult to deal with because it's probably like who you would expect it from the most, you know?
Yeah.
I understand that 100%, and I think it's really admirable that you're able to open up and talk about that right now, so we can kind of go a little bit deeper into that if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Have you ever had conversations with your family about where they fall short?
I mean, I do, but it's like, they're like very stubborn. They don't wanna change their own ways, like that's how they grew up, that's how their parents treated them. You know, like their parents expected things from them regardless of what they were going through, but at the same time, me and my mom are very different. Like at that age, she was already a hairdresser. Me, I'm still going, I'm 23, I'm still pushing, I'm not really able to make all this money right now. But I guess maybe she didn't have as many responsibilities when she was young. I know she had responsibilities, but I think it was very different from mine at my age, and so maybe she was able to handle, you know, her parents always telling her to do this, do that, do this. Whereas, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. It sounds a lot like your mom just cannot relate, you know, to you in the way that you would like, and it's kind of that's what seems to be causing the rift there.
Mm-hmm.
When you say that, you know, your responsibilities are very different, I agree 100%, and you're not in a position to be working. You know, you say when your mom was your age, she was working full time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it seems like she can't relate, and that's kind of where the rift is coming. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that how you feel
really.
as well?
Yeah.
I understand it. And who else is in your house?
So my stepdad too.
Okay. And how is that?
He's gives me like he's much more support than my mom. Like I relate to him a lot more. We have a lot of the same interests.
Mm-hmm.
And we both talk to each other. Like he has a really hard job too. He's a firefighter. So sometimes he just wants to talk to my mom about his bad days, and she kind of, you know, throws him off to the side. So that's where me and him really bond, because I know that I could talk to him about something, and he'll listen to me and, you know, be there to give me the comfort or just support I need in the moment, and then I'll do the same for him.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think that me and him have a much better relationship in regards to like understanding each other.
Do you feel like, you know, he doesn't judge you? Is that how you feel when you talk to him? But you almost,
Yeah.
do you feel judged sometimes by your mother?
Yeah,
Okay.
very judged.
And I remember you said you live with your sister.
Mm-hmm.
How is that relationship, not just you and her, but kind of her with the family? Do you think she goes through the same things that you go through?
I mean, she's only almost 10, so
Oh, okay, I understand.
so it's a little different, but I mean, we're very different from like how I was at her age, and she is like I'm not saying I'm not grateful for all the stuff that I had when I was a kid, but my mom was a single mom. You know, we were living in Newark. I didn't really have all of the tangible, like girly, all the stuff she has. She's just has so much stuff. Like she has an iPhone. She's had an iPhone for the past 3 years. So it's like, I don't know, whatever she wants, she gets it, and that's just how it is. And I guess that's where it all kicked in, like where she really started expecting so much of me was when she was born, because my mom needed a lot of help with my
Mhm.
sister. So I've just been tied into that dynamic of like help, like being, I don't know, big sisters of course need to help and stuff, but I just felt like I was doing so much at such a young age with my sister, like being there for taking her this place, whatever. So since I just got so involved, they just expect so much of me.
And do you kind of feel like you've earned a little bit better treatment from your mom, based on what you do? Is that how you feel?
Yeah, I think I deserve a lot more, like, respect, because I'm always there to help her. And it's like, you know, I could go 3-4 days helping her, being there for her, doing everything, but that 5th day, maybe I'm sick, maybe I have like a headache or whatever, and I'm not around as much, and I'll hear about that 5th day rather than the 1st through the 4th, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like no matter what you do, you feel like she's gonna point whatever you couldn't do out
Exactly.
instead, and that's unfair.
Mhm.
You know, and I really empathize with you there. I just want to get a really good understanding of the household overall. Do you have anyone else you live with?
I live with my brother too.
Oh, okay, awesome. And
Yeah.
is he older or younger? I know you have the 10-year-old sister.
So my brother is 25.
Okay,
Well, he's gonna be 25 in a couple weeks.
okay.
Totally different. It's just totally different. Like,
Go into that
he's-
a little bit.
like the way they expect stuff from me, they really just, like, for example, my mom still makes my brother's bed, cleans up after him. Like, he just doesn't lift a finger in my house. He just goes to work, comes home, and that's it. Whereas me, I clean my own room. Like, I would never ask my mom, like, to make my own bed. Like, it's crazy to me. And it's just like, I don't know, he just does so much wrong, and he doesn't hear about it. But me, it's like I do one wrong and I'll hear about it for a week.
So you feel that there's different standards overall for you and your brother, even though, you know, especially with you and your sister, you and your brother have a very similar age range.
Yeah.
So you almost expect the responsibilities and the treatment would be similar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you do more around the house than your brother?
Yeah. By like a mile.
Yeah.
Like, there was, my parents this past summer, they went on 2 different like week-long vacations,
Mhm.
and it was just, my brother wasn't doing anything. I was washing his clothes, I was doing, you know, just because that's just how my mom instills in all of us, like, he's not capable of doing these things or something, like, I don't know, but it's very frustrating. Like, I always have all the responsibilities and he just
That
goes
must be
by.
really, yeah, that must be really difficult.
And he doesn't even have, like, he has his job, but, like, I have a job, I have grad school, like, I'm trying to balance so much, and it's like, I don't know. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I don't think they compare, but for some reason, he has a lot of leeway to just not do anything.
Yeah, I would definitely circle back to when we talked about the standards that your mom sets for you and for him, and how you were able to see where she views herself in comparison to you, and how she was working when she was your guys' age. Do you think that that plays a role, that she discounts what you go through every day because you're not getting a paycheck, when all you're doing is trying to set yourself up later for a better one? You know what I mean? And then she looks at your brother kind of
Yeah.
in the opposite way. Do you think that that's a fair kind of analysis overall?
Yeah, I could see. Actually, yeah, honestly. I think I never looked at it that way, but it makes sense.
All right, and thinking about that, how do you feel? Do you feel like that's fair, or do you feel like, you know, you kind of deserve to be treated the same either way, because you're both doing difficult things?
I don't think it's fair that it's different,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It definitely makes me really upset when I start thinking about it, like, I don't know.
What don't you know exactly? You don't know exactly how you feel? That's okay. I'm
No,
curious.
it's just, like, and what you just said before, can you say that again? It was like the way you worded it, I just never looked at it in that.
Are you saying how, you know, it's possible that your mom doesn't hold your, you know, what's the word, your situation in equal regard to your brother because, you know, he's working, she was working when she was that age, maybe that's how she was treated, and you're not working, you know, at the same level, so that's why she's treating you different, specifically for that reason, she can't relate to you in that way. Do you think that's what you're saying right now?
Like, that it's not fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
that's
think
not
it's
fair at all.
Yeah, no.
I definitely empathize with you on that front. shifting gears just a little bit, but will still staying with this same, overall concept.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you said you felt there was almost a cultural kind of inclination for your parents to act this way because it's how they were raised.
Yeah.
How big of a role do you think that culture plays? I know you joked before, you said your family's Italian. Do you think it's an ethnicity thing? Do you think it's both, they're Italian and where they grew up? Like, go a little bit in depth as to, I know you said it's not fair, and obviously it's not fair, but how much of a role do you think the family dynamic plays, or is it kind of just your mother?
Yeah, no, I think it goes way back to, how they were growing up. My family lived in Newark. They were kind of like tough, like tough love. They had to deal with some crazy stuff too, so like they have like, what's the word, humor that's like,
What, like a darker humor?
yes, they have like darker humor,
I
like,
understand.
yeah, and they're just loud, how they communicate with people. It's
Mhm.
just very argumentative. They don't know how to just have a normal conversation. And yeah, I definitely just think it's been like that throughout my family. I don't know if it's just because I'm Italian, but I think it definitely has to do with living in Newark and being Italian and just bouncing off each other.
I want you to tell me what you appreciate about your family and the values that they've brought. I know that there's some things that maybe not be the greatest for you, kind of hinder your happiness at home. Can you tell me some things that you really appreciate that like they've instilled in you that you want to carry on?
Okay, I definitely appreciate, I was just saying before, they're very tough love, but it really made us very close.
Right.
A very, strong bond, because fight like lunatics, but then you love each other 10 times harder type of thing. And that's something that, like, I know they instilled in me, like, cause I feel like I'm going, like, I don't know, I just care so much about them, and if I didn't, I wouldn't be helping with my sister, I wouldn't be doing all these extra things, which is stressful, but it also shows me how important I take family. Like, I really hold family on a high standard, and I, like, when I have my own family one day, I know I'm gonna have such a close and tight-knit family that shows so much love. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of what I'm getting from you, as far as what your family has instilled in you that you find important, you do want to pass that on. You want to bring all of those good qualities
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
And you feel like maybe some space from your family. That's kind of the sense that I'm getting. Some space from your family would really be good because you have so much to appreciate about them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also so much that the environment hurts in your everyday life. Is that a fair kind of analysis of based on what you've told me so far?
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand that, and that could be really difficult, right? Because it's the people you love the most, but knowing that not being around them all the time might be the better option is like, how do you feel about that? How does that make you feel, just, kind of thinking about that a little bit?
It gives me actually like comfort thinking about the future and thinking about when I'll be living on my own and having that space, because I do love them so much, but too much of it is just like, I can only deal with so much type of thing.
course.
As you were just saying before, like you said it perfectly, like it's all about balance, like you can't, I know that I'll appreciate them 10 times harder when I could just have that little space away for a little bit. Or come and go when I please,
Mhm. It's very interesting. Come and go as you please. Is that not how your house is right now?
No.
Right, I understand. Because I know they ask a lot of you, but like, just for an example, if nothing is asked of you, are you still kind of expected to be there just because?
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It's draining. It really is, because, like I said, my hands are so tied right now, and I would love to be doing a bunch of other things or just relaxing, like taking a break away from them sometimes. But it's really mentally exhausting, just having that, like, like I never know when I could be messing up, you know? Cause I just never know when they're expecting something.
That, I really feel for you there. You know, I remember all the way when we first started, you have so many stressors in your life that have nothing to do with your family, and this sort of cycle of, you know, only receiving more stress from them, definitely really hard overall. I'm really happy though that you talked about those support systems earlier. I want to get into a little bit more specifics as far as planning for your future. Do you do that? Do you plan, you know, just anything in general about what you want outside of your career and your school life? Is that things you think about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always worried about like, cause I don't go to the gym a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always worried about my physical health.
Okay.
And I feel like right now because I'm so stressed, like I actually just quit vaping
Wow, good for you.
a month ago. Yeah.
That's awesome. How's that been?
It's been hard. It's really been hard. Like the first week I felt fine and I was like, you know, really motivated to not do this anymore, but my family all does it. So my mom has them lying around, my brother has them lying around, and it's just like sometimes I have those weak moments, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes me realize like how much better I'd be when I live on my own in the future because like I know I have that, like I don't wanna do that. And I know being around that makes me feel weak and it just doesn't work well, but when I'm living on my own and that's not there either, like I'm gonna feel a lot like better about myself, you know? Yeah, so I just feel like I just am very eager for the future. I feel like right now it's just this month and then, I mean this year and then the next year is gonna be really hard, but after that I know it's gonna be better.
Yeah, well, that's really important that you keep that positive outlook. Based on everything you've told me, that makes a lot of sense too. I kind of see where, you know, why you would reach that conclusion. I want to talk a little bit more about, you know, quitting the vape. Is that something that like a goal you set out for yourself that you accomplished, or was it an in the moment kind of decision?
No, I have been wanting to quit it. I didn't know, like I always said like, oh, like when I'll be done with school or whatever. So it was definitely in the moment,
Mhm.
like mine that I had died and I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm not gonna do it again.
It's awesome.
But like if that didn't happen, I would have kept telling myself I'll quit after school. I just kind of was just like I'm so sick of like thinking like I'm gonna quit. I know this is bad for me. Like I just be done, you know.
Yeah, I understand, 100%. I think, well, first I want to know, how do you feel kind of where you're at now? Does it feel really gratifying, you know, accomplishing that? Because that's something really difficult, and not a lot of people can do that. So you should really be proud of yourself, first and foremost.
Thank you.
And you should feel that, you know, self-assurance that you've achieved something that's very difficult. Do you feel like you get that feeling when you?
Yeah, I
absolutely.
do. I do feel like that. But then when I have those weak moments, I feel like I don't know, very disappointed in myself.
Yeah, well, that's okay too, because you're honest with yourself. I do think it's important, you know, you don't have an environment that you feel is like suitable to growth to you. So I do think it's important that you take care of yourself first, as you've talked about, which, you know, you've shown really great self-awareness. And I think going forward, maybe goals are a good thing for you. Sounds like you feel really fulfilled achieving this goal.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be open to maybe just setting smaller goals for yourself that kind of give you the sense that you're moving towards, you know, maybe moving out, maybe getting something more stable for yourself?
Yeah, I'm definitely willing to do that.
Okay, that sounds really great. Moving backwards a little bit, I would like to talk about your family some more. If that's all right with you, is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. How is your relationship with your brother? We didn't talk about that. We kind of talked about the family relationship overall. How is your relationship with your brother specifically? Is he one of those people you feel like you can count on, or?
Yeah.
Definitely?
Yeah. I could
That's
always
awesome.
count on my brother. Yeah, me and him have been through hell. Like I said, I live with my stepdad, so my parents got divorced young when I was like 3 years old. So he's been just, went through everything with me, with my mom and just living in Newark and my parents fighting, and yeah, he's definitely been at home, like my support system. When I was younger, like I would always run to my brother.
That's awesome. That's
He's just
a
not really home a lot anymore.
I understand. That's a great bond though. That's really important, and I'm really happy you have someone like that close to you that's in that house, you know?
Mhm.
Because it's important that you have the allies you had, and I know you said your stepdad's great for you, but he works a lot. So does your brother, but I think that's really awesome that at least you know you have people you can count on that live with you, even if it's not always the easiest. That is what I'm getting though. You do feel like you can count on those two
Yeah.
specifically the most in your house.
Mhm.
I understand, and feel free to not discuss this if you don't want, but I do recall it's your stepdad specifically that you live with.
Mhm.
Do you have any relationship with your father? Is he around? Your biological father?
It's a very weird relationship. I don't really talk to him all the time. Sometimes it's like ever since they got divorced, it's just been them always fighting and me having to get in between it, and like that. Not so much. I just felt like I always had an obligation to get in between it because he would go on Facebook and post bad stuff about my mom, and my mom wasn't doing that, but he was.
Mhm.
And I just felt like I had to say something, like, you're posting about my business right now. And that was when I was a junior in high school. So ever since then, like, we didn't talk for 2 years after that. And then when we did talk, it never even got brought up again. Like, the situation, it was kind of just shoved under the rug, and I just wanted to be okay with him. And then he went to the hospital for something really scary, so then, you start thinking, like, oh goodness, But yeah, our relationship just is pretty messy. I see him like once a month, just because I know that, I know time is precious and you gotta see the people in your life, but it's hard to see him.
I understand. So, what it sounds like to me is you feel like you owe it to yourself overall to have some sort of relationship with him, but it's just really difficult for you overall. Is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah.
Do you think, when you're with him, when you're just doing anything that has to do with him overall, do you get some anxiety from that? Because I feel, I'm sensing just a little bit of you love him and you care about him, but it's hard in a lot of ways, like a lot of different ways. That's kind of what I'm getting when you say hard.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Do you wanna touch on that a little bit? Like, what about, seeing him or your relationship with him? I know you had the past, the one specific instance, but it seems like there's more. Do your guys' personalities clash, or?
So he's actually, like, he drinks a lot,
I understand.
so I don't like to go and meet up at his house sometimes because, I don't know, I'd like to just meet up somewhere else. So I like to go out to eat with him, and we go out to eat, but it just turns into him getting so drunk. He used to do cocaine, so when I saw him previously, I noticed that it wasn't like he was just drunk. He could have been on something else. So it kind of just made me, I don't know, it just makes me really anxious being around him because I never know. When he's sober and he's just talking to me on the phone, like, if we're not out to eat or whatever, like, it's a good conversation. We have a good conversation, but it's just like going out to eat with him. It's like all those combinations.
Mm-hmm.
It's just never a good time for me.
I understand. And looking at just the drug use a little bit, and believe me, I know that this is our first session together, so if you feel like this isn't something you're ready to speak about, that's fine. But just moving into that a little bit, do you have anyone else in your life that you have that with, or he's the only one, so you don't have really experience?
Yeah, that's really it.
And how does it make you feel that you don't have this experience? I know that, as difficult as it is to say, every disagreement with your mom, I'm sure, has some sort of familiarity to it, Whereas the problems with your dad, you're kind of walking in blind. Do you think that that's where your anxiety comes from? That it's so foreign to you?
Yeah, I guess. He's also really loud, and I have really bad social anxiety,
I understand.
so that definitely, makes me really like worked up. Like we're just out to eat and he's screaming cause he always knows people. I don't know why, but this one restaurant that we go to, it's like, I guess people from Newark usually go there, whatever. And he just always finds someone. He's screaming at them, talking so loud, and it's just like, yeah, it makes me really nervous.
Yeah, I could definitely see how difficult that would be, especially someone, with your temperament and how, you just like some peace. I know we talked about it earlier. You don't get a lot of peace in your house, so peace to you does not come easily, and anything that takes that away is obviously going to be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
Going forward, I know we're going to wrap up here shortly. I think it's really important, all the things you said about the things you can appreciate in your life, and I think you have a great understanding of that. And I do want to reiterate, I empathize with everything, you discussed about your family life and all that, and I hope we can continue to even get further into that next time.
Thank
Right.
you. It
Thank
was
you so
really
much.
nice talking to you. I feel a lot better.
Thank you.
Like I just feel like I have a weight off my shoulders. I don't really talk about this a lot, so thank you.
That's awesome.